Hello and welcome back to An Artful Life with Doug King. This is the show where art is life and life is art. We consider everything art, whether it's actual art, paintings, sculptures, or interior design, or food, or today we're going to be talking about wedding and wedding design and the art of that. Today I'm here with Rebecca Hackl and Ricardo Tomas. And they are the owners of Lorraine Tomas, and they're leaders in the wedding industry. Both have just extensive experience. I mean, we're talking like Ricardo, you have like, what is it? You started in 2004 as the wedding architect. And Rebecca, you've been doing this. You had your business for over 17 years, which was Trifecta Event Management, Rebecca Hackl Events. You currently sit on the board of the North Texas Wedding Professionals Organization, the Society of Wedding Professionals, as the president. Ricardo, you were their president for a little while, correct?
Yes.
And you received a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from the University of Texas in San Antonio in architectural design. And you've been an interior designer since 1980. So I know that'll come into play a lot with this, and that's why you call yourself the wedding architect.
Yes, absolutely.
You're so creative. Just so correct. So you both had individual companies doing wedding design, wedding planning, and that, and you did corporate event management or planning, and then you came together, and now you have Lorraine Tomas. So tell us a little bit first, what is Lorraine Tomas? How do people find you? You know, why are you guys here?
Why are we here?
Because we are art.
Yes. You are art.
We are art. So
we're an artful life for all the clients that are going to be needing us for their weddings.
Yes, yeah. You are art incarnate is what you are. So tell us, what is Lorraine Tomas and what services do you offer?
Sure. So Lorraine Tomas, people are wondering, it's kind of obvious with Ricardo Tomas that, you know, the name is a bit of Ricardo.
Right.
So Lorraine is actually my middle name.
Okay.
And most people don't know that, so I don't usually go around and say I'm Rebecca Lorraine.
Right.
But now I am.
Okay.
And so it's a combination of the two of us. And so, yes, we've been in the industry for years, and I do have a background of corporate and nonprofit events, and you know, still do a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
But we have been working together side by side with Society of Wedding Professionals, sitting on the board, and we've worked so well together. We've known each other for years, probably good 10, 11, 12 years. But we've really come together working side by side for the past 7 years.
Yes.
Sitting on the board, and it's been a dream come true. And so we've become much closer, and we just decided, you know what, we've been doing this for a long time and individually, and what a power team to be able to come together and bring our resources together. We're so much alike, but then we're so different with our personalities, and we come together with different perspective.
Right.
So
kind of a yin and yang.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the perfect.
A will and grace of the modern.
Well, you know,
2020.
there we go.
We're still looking for our Karen and Jack.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, so and the services you offer. Let's talk a little bit about the different, because obviously two heads are better than one. So by you collaborating and being that yin and yang, you're offering kind of double the experience and double the pleasure for your different clients. But what services do you offer?
So we do month of, day of, which is pretty much the client already has all the vendors selected, and we come in and help manage what I call manage the weekend.
Okay.
So it's for the clients that maybe have done all the planning, and you know, mamas want to do all the planning for their daughters, and they just want someone to manage, pretty much like a general contractor's manage the weekend. So we can do as little as that.
Okay.
Or we can do the full service, which is, you know, we just got engaged. We don't know what we're doing. We need our hand held through the whole process.
Right.
Through contracts and budgeting, scheduling, all that for clients. And even for clients that are out of town, we kind of are the go-to people for that with all our vendors.
So you're the, like in your title, the wedding architect, but you're the creative directors. So you help with everything from if someone comes to you in the beginning and they just got engaged and they're like, what do we do? Because it can be, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces to a wedding.
It's very overwhelming.
Yeah. And so you help them with everything from the invitations to finding the venue to the food and the cake and the decor, because there's a lot of different elements. And because both of you have been with the Society of Wedding Professionals for so long, you know all the vendors and you have great relationships with them, correct?
Yes.
We do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
So talk a little bit about that process. Like, let's talk about the art of a wedding. So if someone comes to you, because you said out of town, but you also do out of town weddings, as far as you do destination weddings. So you can, if someone wanted to get married in the Bahamas, even though they live in Dallas or Pittsburgh or wherever, you would go there and you do the whole 9 yards,
Yes.
even if it's out of town.
Yes.
Do our
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And you hate that, right?
Hate it.
Hate when you have to.
Hate it.
Oh, you gotta go to the Bahamas
gotta go.
again.
I'm like, I forgot to
Hey.
measure that room. I got to go back.
Yeah.
Let's schedule a time. Yes. Yes.
Got to do our workout.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we had to
Get in
check the
shape.
beach. We had to check the beach for each
The
grain
sand
of
just-
sand.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
we were
There's
sifting it.
Too
So
many seashells by the seashore, and we had to move those out.
So talk a little bit about the art and some of the decisions that you go into to making this, and how do you make a bride and a groom and the bride's mother feel at ease by helping and hand holding them through the process? Because it can be tense, right?
It definitely can be. And I got to tell you, so Ricardo he has really perfected the art of, coming in and managing a wedding day for a couple, perhaps he hasn't planned the whole event, but coming in for the last 30 days and doing what's so often referred to as day of coordination. And that term really needs to go away, because it's not just us coming in and coordinate on the day of.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
We
there's
just
a
don't
lot.
pop in and say, "Here we
Here
are."
Here we are.
And everybody just listens to you.
And
Oh,
we're-
he's here.
And we're expected to make it go flawlessly,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
There's a lot that goes into it, and because of that, he has really learned how to perfect that, and that is definitely his strength. For me, I prefer, if I'm planning a wedding, to make sure I'm planning from the beginning to the end. It's very important to me because there's so many details that go in, and for me, I have that comfort level of building a relationship with our couples. And at the beginning, the process is sitting down with the couple and understanding, hearing from the parents what their needs are, what their wishes are, which so often is different than what the couple wants.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And so
And then that creates conflict.
it can create conflict, but the parents are paying for it, and so there's got to be that balance. What can we do? So we listen to all sides, and let's make a compromise. And a lot of times the couples don't really realize that that's really what we're doing. But everyone tends to walk away really happy. The parents are happy, the couple's happy, but there is an art to the process of planning a wedding. And so
you actually
it's-
wind up being a little bit of like counselors.
I was just going to say, we're counselors, we're mediators,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
liaisons.
yeah.
Yes.
So there's an art to
Psychologists.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So how much of what you do is managing expectations? Because some brides, I imagine, come in and they've been pinboarding their wedding for like ages.
Yes. Since
And
they
they-
were little girls.
And
yes.
they want this multi-million-dollar wedding on a Schlitz malt liquor budget, So
Right.
how do you manage those expectations?
Well, the first step in planning a wedding is finding out that budget.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so, people are coming together for the first time and planning this event for 150, 200, 300, 500 people. How do you create a budget for that? And so, they're online, they're researching and doing, going to various wedding websites, and there are some fantastic templates out there. But to be able to go into their mind and hear their expectations and see their vision,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's whenever we're really able to sit down and put together a realistic budget.
Yeah.
So we can put together that budget based on the budget number that they've given us, but then we can put together a separate budget with the expectations of what the visuals that they've provided us and what
Okay.
we've heard.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you're going to get with the budget that you've given us.
Yeah.
And give them a storyboard on that. And then we can put together something else with what you're asking for. These are the real numbers of what it's going to
Oh.
actually cost.
Okay.
Right?
So they can see it and then they can
Yeah.
go, oh.
And then they can decide on what that's going to look like. And
Right.
maybe there's a balance. And so now that they understand the numbers, then we can figure out which direction we're going to go.
So, in the art of designing, falling off of that, so if someone has in their mind the budget for, like, I'll just say floral arrangements, what they're like, oh, I want this, and it's going to look like Versailles, or and it's that's a $50,000 budget, but they only have 5 for flowers. How do you as artists mesh that? It's kind of like to draw an analogy in medicine. You can get the $500 pill, or you can get the generic one for $50, and it does the same thing. Is there an art to, you guys have been doing this long enough, if you know that they want, like if it were my daughter's wedding, she'd want peonies. Did I pronounce that right?
Mm-hmm.
Peonies. She might not be able to afford that. So how do you craft and say, well, you can't get peonies, but you can get this? How do you do that?
Well, a lot of it is working with the vendors. So, like, if we meet with a florist, that's normally the people that know everything about flowers. Like I say, if we have to get a flower from Ireland, or we have to get Switzerland or local, like they know flowers. And when
we
it
have
comes,
to go in our backyard.
yeah, yeah.
Never
I'm
know.
assuming there's a story there. Is there?
No. Well, there's always a story, but no, not really in this case.
But
Yeah.
are there compromises where you can say, I know
Yes.
you want this, but
Yes.
if we do this, it's similar?
Yes. Well, one thing that I like to do with my clients from the get-go is find out, like, what are their 3 most important aspects of the wedding? Like, what is most important to you? Is it the party? Is it the lavish decor? Is it your dress? Is it the venue? Like, so once I find out those things, then it kind of all falls into place, because if flowers aren't as that important to them, then we will find options for them to give them the same look, give them a
Okay.
bang for their buck.
So that's interesting. So there's almost like a hierarchy, a priority list.
Yes.
Like, some people may not care about the ceremony as much as they care about the reception. So
Yes.
then you kind of say, okay, we're going to compromise here.
Right.
Okay, that makes
Right.
sense.
Right. And a lot of it is trickled through the planning process. So, we go through the most important things to contract first, of course, is the venue.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a place. And then normally, for the bride, it's her dress.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of follow through the vendors. So it's photography and entertainment and videography, because those are the most important aspects that document the wedding
Right.
and keep the wedding together during the actual event, which is
Mhm.
your band or your DJ. So those to me are my priority vendors. And then I tell them, flowers will come, the cake will come, the linens will come later. So you try and kind of give them a priority of, like, what's important, as far as putting the production together.
Yeah.
Because this is their first time. This is our 150th time doing a wedding, so we kind of know what works from the get-go.
Yeah.
Basically.
And do you have, now I'm getting into minutia, like the day of the event, do you call it like run of show?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
What's a wedding timeline?
A wedding timeline?
Yeah.
See, every industry has their thing. So like in film or in live
Mhm.
productions, you have a run of show. It's like,
Right,
okay, this
right.
is what we're
Yeah.
doing.
Right.
And I could see that being like, okay, run a show. Where are he? The groom
Right,
isn't here.
right.
He's passed out.
Right. Yeah. On the corporate side, definitely we refer to it as
Mhm.
a run a show.
Yeah.
But on the social side, no, we
Yeah.
refer to it as a timeline.
Okay.
Unless it definitely is a production,
Mm.
then we're going to be calling it more internally a run a show. But for our couples, it's much easier.
You don't want to
refer-
dehumanize it?
It's really
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
really a timeline.
Yeah.
It's our weekend timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and we detail it, from the minute they get up, start getting hair and makeup for the bridesmaids and the bride and the moms, like all that's detailed on the timeline. And the couple does get this about 2 weeks out from the wedding.
They have a physical
more.
itinerary that
Yeah.
they're, wow.
And
okay.
we go through it, like usually 30 days is kind of, I do a final walkthrough with the client, and we go through the whole timeline from beginning to the very end. And then we talk about it, and I'm typing things in on my computer, and I'll say, I'm going to forward this all to you, and you guys look over it, and then you'll kind of see, what's going to fit in your schedule, what's not going to fit, where we need to bump more cushion in time.
Right.
So they get to see it in black and white, because they don't understand that. Like, they think a 4 hour ceremony or a reception is a lot of time, but then when you start plugging in things like garter toss, bouquet toss, the parent dances, the toast, the first dances,
Right.
like any cultural aspects of the wedding, then it starts to consume the dancing time. So if they're
Yeah.
a dancing couple that says we want to party, then those are the things that we have to look at from the beginning and say, okay, this is where we need to either pull back, or we need to add more time to the reception, because it does fly by for the couples, and we definitely want them to get the most out of their wedding day, because this is a one time, and it's a one, and I mean, hopefully it's a one and done, but we want to do it. We want to get it done.
I know
right
a
the
few
first
people
time.
that
You
may.
never know.
Yes.
You never
Yes.
know.
I know a few people that are 5 and done. So I'm just saying.
Oh, really?
Not going to name names.
Yeah.
And that, now I'm going to kind of talk from, because I remember my reception, and I don't think my ex or I would have fond memories of that because
Did you have a planner?
we didn't.
Okay.
Well, we had a mother-in-law.
There you go.
Okay.
When
So-
was your reception? Was it-
When?
Uh-huh.
Like
I mean, how many?
How many decades?
How many
It-
decades?
yeah, it was decades
how many
ago.
Decades ago was
Yeah,
it?
no, it was long. Well, but the problem was that, and I'll try and pose this as a question, or you can respond to it. We were doing all the photos. Everyone went to the reception. By the time we got to the reception, all the food was gone.
Oh.
No one had saved any food for us.
Wow.
And then there was this kind of timeline. Oh, now you got to do the cake. Now you got to do this. And well, by the time we got into the limo at the end, I'm like, I was exhausted. I was starving. I was like, what the heck did I just do with my life? You know?
And where our money go?
Where-
Yeah.
What
And so
happened?
how do you, I mean, it seems like, I mean, that's where you guys come in, where you really are managing it so that because I've heard many stories where the bride and groom do not enjoy the wedding or the reception because it winds up not being for them. Does that make sense?
Mhm, mhm.
It's more for their guests. So how do you manage that? How do you finesse it so that they get some food and they can sit and enjoy it and enjoy family and friends around them as opposed to it being like they're running a marathon? Because that's what I felt.
Yeah. Let me tell you this. This is the importance of where couples really need to listen to us as planners, and because we're able to manage all of those goals and expectations from the get-go,
Mm-hmm.
and we're able to talk them out of the decision to let's have the food and buffet open immediately as they arrive at the reception.
Mm, okay.
Because when that happens, the couple is walking into a room where the party has already started.
Yeah.
The setting has already been, disrupted, and tables are dirty, glasses are sitting empty on the table.
Yeah.
So they're walking in, and their vision of the wedding has already been, diminished and lowered, and it's not at all what they had expected. So they're already probably feeling a little sad of like what happened.
Right. Yeah.
And the only thing left at that point is to cut the cake,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if we are allowed to come in at the beginning, we're able to manage and maneuver them to where they can actually get that goal at the end. And
Okay.
so if we can, have that pre-function time, whether they have alcohol or not no alcohol, but we usually refer to it as a cocktail reception.
Right.
And so they can be enjoying, cocktails and past hors d'oeuvres, for a good hour while the wedding party is taking pictures,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And then so we're able, what I love to do is for that couple to be able to sneak in the back into the ballroom or, whatever room the reception is being held in, and they can take a sneak peek before everyone arrives.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
they can see the vision of it before everything comes in and the napkins are pulled from the tables, right?
Yeah.
And so they
Yeah.
can see everything and soak it
Yeah.
all in and not just have to see it in a picture.
Yeah, I call it the first reveal.
The first
And
reveal.
Yeah.
it's private. It's just me and the couple, and it is actually magical because you kind of see. It's like going to Disney World for the first time. They walk into the room and their eyes are like, "Oh my gosh, this is everything we planned for the past year on paper and
Yeah.
on vision boards."
Right.
And for them, I that is one thing that I try and hold sacred to each wedding that I do. I said I give them this idea. I pitch this idea. Say I want to do a first reveal for you guys into the room. I want you to see your invitations that you've planned for years, or for the year. I want you to see all the detail, like you said, Rebecca. You don't want to see any tables or chairs messed up. You want to see it pristine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think once you pitch that to them, they're like, I love that, and then they can go walk and look at the cake. Because normally, like if they go cut the cake during the reception, it's pretty much, I'm taking them to the cake, they're cutting it, they're feeding it, and then we're on to the next thing. So they don't really get to absorb this masterpiece that they've planned with the bakery. They don't get to look at the details of this cake. So,
because those cakes are a work of art.
yeah.
I mean, you
so-
want to talk about an artist. Some of
Yeah.
those cakes are just, I mean, they could be in a museum.
Right.
Absolutely.
They're
And-
phenomenal.
And I know some brides that have said, we didn't even get a piece of our cake.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I don't know if they invited like, scurvy rats or something. It was just like they, and it's
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
So that brings up a question. Who is, Who do you all feel that the wedding is for? Is the wedding for the bride and groom, or is the wedding for the people attending? Because that's two different perceptions.
I have
It
my
is.
opinion on this, but you can go first.
For me, it's both.
Okay.
So it has to be about the couple. So one of the first questions I ask to a couple, and I should probably go a little reverse order. It's so important to know yourself, right? Like what you've discussed. We're an art form.
Yeah.
And you always say don't judge a book by its cover, correct? But in the case of planning a wedding, for me, I secretly do. I don't tell anybody, but now I've told all of you. I do. I do.
So you're judging all of us, right? Okay.
No, I'm not judging. But I judge a couple whenever I'm sitting down meeting with them.
Right.
I'm looking at their accessories, their shoes. What are they wearing? And I don't mean it has to be the finest, but what is it about?
Yeah.
Because they could be millionaires sitting in front of me, right? But they're dressed very casual.
Right.
They're in their tennis shoes and their sweatpants or their yoga pants, whatever they're wearing. But what it tells me is that they're fun, they're classic, they're a little funky, but it tells me a lot about what the design and the feel, the tone of that wedding is going to be.
Okay.
And once a bride picks their dress, just like Ricardo was saying, that dress sets the tone, really.
Yeah.
Right? For the wedding. And so I love for the bride to be able to have that from the get-go. And so once I see that, I'm like, okay, we know what direction we're going.
Okay.
And maybe we even get to incorporate parts of the details of that dress into the wedding. Maybe it's incorporated into the cake, or
that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll take little design motifs off of that and carry it through.
Carry it through.
Interesting.
So it's fun. It's fun to hear how they met, how the proposal went, what do they like to do for fun? Do they travel? So just hearing, and it all unravels during the planning process. We might come up with the best idea 6 months into the planning.
Right.
Once I hear that, they've been traveling around the world for the past year, and they've been collecting shot glasses.
Right.
At each
See, I want to meet
location.
those people.
I've got to meet those.
That can just
I gotta
travel
meet
for a
them.
year, and B, their collection of shot
They're-
glasses.
Yes.
I want to hang out with them.
We've got to hang out with them.
Yeah.
We know that reception is going to be a blast.
Yeah. There's going to be some whiskey
It's gonna
flowing there.
be
That's
some
going to be good.
You
I could
never
get in a lot of
know.
trouble there.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
so now, Ricardo, what is your opinion on who's the wedding for? Is it for the bride and groom or the families?
Well, for sure, it's the couple, and planning over 100 so weddings. My goal is to pull something personal out of each couple, because I want that wedding to be that couple's wedding. I don't want it to be their friend's wedding, their sister's wedding, a cousin's wedding. So I do ask them a lot of questions, like what are their hobbies, what do they like to do, because that kind of also dictates some of the direction that we go into, because I want to pull some of those personal elements. So let's just say the groom is a car collector, vintage car. Then I want to pull that somehow into maybe his groom's cake. Maybe we design that around his groom's cake. If they're both sports buffs, they like to get baseball games or football games. I want that maybe sports themed to somehow be incorporated into the wedding.
You could make like little personalized baseball cards for the bride and groom
Something
that
like
people
that.
take home with them.
Yeah.
I should probably work for you guys.
I love that idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah, let's talk after this.
Yes,
I am,
yeah.
So
Yeah.
he doesn't pay me enough here. So I need something.
But no, I definitely want the wedding to, I hate to call it a brand, but each wedding is a brand. And so I want
That's
each
interesting.
wedding to have a stamp. So whether it's a monogram
it's
or logo.
the bride and groom's brand.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So everybody has a brand. All of us have a brand. All of us market each other a certain degree.
Getting strange visuals
Yes,
now, but
yes,
okay,
yes.
keep going. I'm going to shut up.
Yes.
Mute my mic.
So that's definitely important. But, also needs to be a party for the guests as well, because you definitely want them to come in and also see and experience something different. So I want also the guests to walk away and say, oh my gosh, that was David and Judy's. That was definitely their wedding. Like I want people to walk away and feel like I've not experienced a wedding like this. Not that it's a lavish wedding, but just the experience itself. So whether it's the detail of the groom's cake or the decor or the music selected or whatever it is. I want people to walk away and say, wow, that was, you know.
Kind of like an event then. Like, hey, I just watched the opening ceremonies of the Olympics, that type of thing.
Right.
Like you walk away with,
Yeah.
you want the bride and groom to enjoy it, but the people walking away feel like, I know Judy and David or whoever you
Right,
just
right.
said, I know them a little bit better, and that was truly them.
Right.
Right.
All right, so I've got some
It
serious
needs to be an
questions.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you guys fall on these, like the dances that have become popular, and you see the YouTube videos where all of a sudden it's choreographed, and they start off the daughter and the father doing, and then all of a sudden they bust out and they're doing like Puff Daddy music. Where do you guys are you, as wedding planners, do you just go oh and smack your head and say, really, who started this? Or are you like, yeah, let's do this?
Oh,
Let's,
I love it.
It actually happened at my
think it's
niece's
great.
wedding. I never knew that my brother-in-law and my niece were, they slowly, they're dancing slow, and then all of a sudden, big booty came out from J-Lo, and I was like, oh, okay.
and you were not no one told you about that?
No, he told me about that,
That's
and that was kind of
awesome.
fun. But every time I hear that song on the radio, I think
You
of my
have
niece's
vision.
wedding.
You have this vision.
It's a visual, so people walk
Wow.
away and say, oh, okay.
But is it
Yeah.
okay? So as a trend, has that become tired, or is that still? Are people still doing it?
No, I think people are still doing it, but I think if that's who you are in your relationship, with your parent,
Yeah,
yeah, go for it. And it sets the tone again, for the reception. And
yeah.
let's have some fun. And if
Alright.
that's who they are, enjoy it. But if that's not who they are and it's who they're trying to be,
Oh, then it could be really bad.
it will
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
Yeah.
on the dance
I mean,
floor.
typically every wedding has, a parent dance of some sort. So it's nice to actually have that element thrown in there, because people are like, some people don't even look at that while it's happening.
Right.
But then you hear the like record screech, and then you start to hear other music, and like everybody starts to turn around, and then it becomes like an event in itself. So for me, that creates excitement, it creates a buzz, it creates energy. It's saying like, we are here to party, so you guys need to stop talking and come dance with us. Like
Right.
Yeah.
that's what it's saying, and that
Yeah.
I kind of like that. I like kind of putting things off the rail a little bit,
Sure.
just to kind of give this again something that people walk away from, say, wow, I never expected that from Julie and her dad. Like, that is awesome. Like,
So Heather and I, Heather, my
Yes,
daughter, because
yes.
I know you've worked with the Miss America
yes,
organization.
yeah.
So Heather and I are going to have to do something really, because people
And
are.
I'm going to expect that.
Yeah. So maybe we'll actually fight against expectations and be just so boring. Just like walk out and like dance to a dirge, a funeral. I don't know. Either that, or we're going to play a lot of Margaritaville, and there will
Yes.
be like
There you
Hawaiian shirts
go.
for
There you
everyone.
go.
Oh, see,
See?
I would expect that.
Love that.
Yeah, Mai Tais and
Great.
margaritas for everyone.
Yes.
I see that.
Yeah.
Or the last hour, we pass out flower lays
And monkeys.
and
There will be a
flip-flops.
lot of
Right?
like
Yes.
those little balloon monkeys or little
Yes.
yeah.
Lots
Yeah.
of bananas.
Lots of
yes,
bananas.
Yes.
And
All right.
everybody can wear, the men can wear fish heads.
See, we'll wear
There we go.
fins on it.
Little
See,
fins.
Heather, we just planned your wedding. Throw
Yes.
away your
There we
Pinterest
go.
boards.
There we go.
Exactly.
Thankfully, she's not listening, but I'll send this to her. She'll get a kick out of it.
Yes.
So for what for you ideally is the earliest you like to get in? Like how long do you, if someone, let's say you get in as soon as the engagement happens, and they come to you if they're that organized. But if their engagement is only like 3 months, does that give you enough time? Do you prefer 6 months, a year? I mean, what is too long and what is not long enough?
Oh, I've planned a wedding from beginning to end in 4 weeks,
Oh, wow.
and
Shotgun wedding?
no, it
No,
was
I'm
big. It was
teasing.
elaborate. It was over the top. It was beautiful.
They just wanted to do it very quickly?
They wanted to do it very quickly, and anyway, but for me, it was perfect because I can go in and I can plan everything, and as long as I have their attention,
Mm-hmm.
as long as I can, either they give me the, hey Rebecca, they give me their blessing for me to make all the decisions, or they're available to be able to agree and confirm.
Yeah.
So if I have that, then I feel comfortable and confident moving forward. But yeah, 3 months is totally doable. We can do it. 6 months is ideal because there's a good window, and the couple has the attention. They know that they've got to get everything done in 6 months. A
Right.
year, yes, that's perfect. It's comfortable. We can relax, plan a little, relax a little. The only problem with whenever we go a year or further out is sometimes I feel like couples lose their attention
Yeah.
and
Because,
they
we'll do that
get, yeah,
next
we'll do
week.
it next week, we'll do it
Yeah.
later, and then suddenly it creeps up, and
Well, and I imagine you could even have problems with a year out, like if a vendor just isn't there any longer, then all of a sudden you're finding a new vendor. I mean, has that ever happened or a venue?
I've had it. Well,
Yes.
it's happened where a bakery, went out of business,
Yeah.
and you plan, and that's unfortunate. Or a venue, it's not never happened to me as far as a venue, but that has happened to her venue closes, and that's very sad because the couple has put a deposit, a year out or two, and then something like that happens. So
Yeah.
it does unfortunately happen. But ideally planning, my shortest has been 3 months of planning, and my longest has been 2 years of planning.
2 years.
2 years.
Wow, they were really.
This was a fun couple, an LGBT same-sex couple, and they wanted to get married on a certain day in 2017, and so they hired me in 2015, knowing that in 2017 the ideal wedding date would be on that Saturday in 2017. So
Interesting.
that's why they selected that, which made for a stress-less planning process because they definitely wanted the moon and the stars. So
Oh, really?
it
So that
helped.
was a big, elaborate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And so and you can plan a wedding and a month or two out. The only thing you run into are the vendor availability. So
Yeah.
if a couple is set on a certain photographer or a certain bands usually book up a year plus maybe 2 years out. So
Really?
yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, my word.
So you can still get a wedding, done professionally and everything, but it's just the availability of the vendors, or who's left in the pool, and it depends on the month too. So if
Right.
somebody wants to get married in January, February, you're probably gonna have more likely to have the vendors still available because that's ideally in Dallas a slow month.
January is? Okay.
January, February starts ramping up because of Valentine's,
Right.
But once March, April, it's it's a popular month, just like the fall is.
Okay. So let's talk about work, because we're talking about big weddings and that. And I know for listeners, people are going to be thinking, oh, I can't afford them. So let's talk a little bit about the art of the finances in this, because you do everything. When you go to your website, and we'll look at that in a minute, or at least some photos of that, you have different packages. So I want to kind of put some people's minds at ease that this doesn't have to be the $1 million or even the $100,000 wedding. I mean, you have packages you can work with anyone, correct? Like, so talk a little bit about that. I mean, what are expectations for if I wanted to come to you and hire your services, what should I expect budget wise? Because some people, again, we talked about people have. My daughter has, she has the rich and lifestyles of the rich and famous, mindset, but she has the budget for, water. And so,
We'll be handing out bottles of water.
yeah,
at
we
the
have
wedding,
water
everybody-
and maybe a saltine cracker to be shared with everyone. So now, but
maybe the peanut butter crackers. We'll go with those.
yeah. So how do you? So talk a little bit about budgets and what people can expect. And you don't have to get into, but I mean, what are the different options? Because on your website, I know there were some dollar signs that were on there. So talk a little bit about that aspect of it.
Sure. So the dollar signs are basically starting points.
Mm-hmm.
So we have we have two other planners on the team. Miss Angie Blue, where are you? Hello, hi.
Yes.
And then Jenna Timpton.
Right.
And so we have different levels, of service. And so it can start with, the month of coordination to a partial planning service. And that a partial planning is when a couple has the time to plan their own wedding, but they need help getting started. And they want to make sure that we're there along the way to help answer questions, review some contracts, and to make sure that we're there managing the wedding, coordinating the wedding, right?
Okay.
So that's referred to as a partial planning. Full service is where we come in and we're the main point of contact to all vendors. We're coordinating and communicating with all the vendors, and we update our couple.
Mm-hmm.
And so typically for a full service, they're paying us for the consulting.
Right. And your
or
experience.
in
And
our experience. And we've been doing this for a while. And also, our connections.
yeah.
We've worked with vendors and we've got that trust level. And so they should trust us to know that if something happens, our DJ doesn't show up, we've got to know how to step in and
Ricardo
correct this.
beatboxes in the corner.
We do
Yes.
have that Spotify app,
Oh
So
yes,
there's been times whenever I've had to step in
I've had to be
and
an
push
MC.
play.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's happened before. We have those stories.
Or get behind the buffet table and help out handing out rolls because they were moving too slow.
Right. Cut the cake.
Oh yes.
We've got to be able to
Pop that champagne. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta go. It's time. Go.
recreate that boutonniere,
Yeah.
whatever it is. But
Wow.
but there are those. So they're paying for our experience.
Yeah.
Good example. The graphic designer that created that the Nike logo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it may have only taken him 30 minutes to create that logo,
Right.
but think about where that logo is.
And so many
everywhere,
people-
there's value to that.
Yeah, I'm going to go down a rabbit trail because that's kind of a sore point with me because so many people, take it into, it's just a bunch of words and fonts. How long could that take you? And they don't understand the years of experience leading up to that.
Right.
And the knowledge that, well, you need a sans serif font or a serif font or this and that, and it's got to lean this direction. And I'm sorry, I got on a soapbox there because I understand the pain of being a vendor that works
Right.
in a creative industry, and people just they put zero value on that,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just kind of like, oh, you can just knock that out, do it for free, or
Right.
something, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, so
Right.
I've had people ask me to write entire screenplays for free. I'm like, if I came to your job and asked you to do it for free, would you do it? Well, no, of course not. Then why should... Anyway, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
off my soapbox.
Okay.
Sorry. But that would be frustrating to... So, but if someone does have a limited budget, can they still come to you? Can they still get, have a... I guess I'm trying to
Yes.
figure out for
Yes.
the audience, how do
Sure.
they... they can
Sure.
still have a really nice, beautiful
Yes.
wedding.
Yes.
Well, I have. Go ahead. And
Yeah,
then-
I was just going to refer to if you'll see on our website we offer a service called the Wedding 411,
Mm-hmm.
and so that is for a couple that they've seen our work and they understand the value, but perhaps they can't afford us for a full service planner.
Right.
And so they have the opportunity to sit down with us, for 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours, however many hours, and we'll charge hourly and we'll answer whatever questions you have.
And
we
in
put
that
our-
service, you,
Yeah.
you offer like budget and task management, venue discovery, vendor contract review and management, wedding information and advice, and alternate planning options for them. So you offer, even in that, you offer quite a bit. And
Right.
they're getting the service of two professionals with over 17, like combined, you guys have to have like 30 years or
Oh, yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
And-
sure.
And,
Yes.
and
Just
so.
don't combine our age.
Right. Well, Methuselah here, he's what, 98? You look good
Yes,
for
I look
98.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes.
The moisturizer and those
Yes.
beach stays is really
Yes.
working out. So, but no, so, okay. So,
And I kind of want to kind of add my 2 cents. So, when they are meeting with us as planners, I think it's important also that you also put in their perspective, like, even though, flowers may be their main focus, but sometimes you have to say, well, those flowers are good for 4 hours of your reception, whereas us as a planner, we're with you for a year, up to a year. So what is most valuable? Someone who's going to be with you for a year, and then, through the actual planning of your wedding and then the whole reception, you put things in perspective. Like, you think about spending all this money on flowers versus a planner. It's interesting, that they would.
okay.
And even like the cake, I said the cake is cut, it's done. Whereas we're still there, we're still working, so you're still getting us through the whole process. So after everything is faded, we're still cleaning up at the end. We're kind
Right.
of putting things together. We're putting all their personal items back in the boxes, their cake knives, their glasses, toasting things.
And so that's part of the service that you offer is once they've left and they've gotten in the limo or wherever they're going, you're still
We're
there
still working, yeah.
making sure that everything, so they
still
can have
working.
they can have a stress-free environment that
Mhm.
they know things are taken care of behind them.
I pretty much let them know that I'm like kind of the one that flicks the light off. Like when Laverne and like when there was a show that
Oh,
ended
right.
and they
It
would go
ended.
flick the light
Yeah,
off.
Yeah.
I said,
a lot of people may not know what you're referring
yeah,
to.
oh, okay.
Thanks,
I forgot about
Methuselah. That was
Yes.
in 1912 for
Yes.
those people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of pretty much there. Like, I don't want to say I'm sweeping all the confetti left over from the wedding, but yes, pretty much.
Right.
Picking up the vest that was left, the tuxedo
a sh-
vest, and the bouquet
or
that
a
was left.
shoe that's left behind. You're like, well, how did that lady leave this wedding without,
Without the
one
shoe.
shoe?
There's a story there, and I want to be a part of that story. That's the one with the shot glasses, right?
That's exactly
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You know it's been a good wedding reception when there's articles of clothing just kind of randomly strewn around. Yeah.
Yes, and you got to find out who do these
Right.
things go to.
Yeah.
Right. But you know what? Going back to your question, because that is a really good question on what couples should expect for a planner.
Mhm.
So think about this, and this goes, for advice to any couple getting married. So when you're out trying to find your planner, they're just like out buying a car or finding a house,
Mhm.
buying clothes. There's various levels, right?
Right.
You can't just say, go to a realtor and say, hey, I want to buy a house,
Yeah.
right? They'll be driving you all over the world. So they've got to have some direction and a budget on where to go. So just like finding the planner that's right for you, not only do you want to make sure you, mesh with the personality and the style of the planner, and you feel comfortable and confident moving forward,
Yeah.
but you also have to match with the budget. And so just like buying a car or house, there's planners at various levels. There's some planners just getting started, trying to build their portfolio, and they may be an incredible planner, and you're getting them at a value of $500.
Right.
But as you have the experience and you're growing, so yeah, we start to charge more.
So if you're in Arkansas and you go to Bubba's wedding planning, that you can expect one level of expertise compared to the wedding architect.
Right,
And
well, but Bubba might be an incredible planner. Who knows? It's just
he's
it's
great
it's a different
at
it's just a
sibling
different
weddings.
market.
He's really good at that.
Oh my goodness. It's just a different market,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So, do you ever you mentioned that, and I do want to show some photos. So I'll ask this one last question. So, do you ever have you Ricardo? You talked a little bit about, because they are having a relationship with you, the bride and groom, for anywhere from 3 months to a year. So they better get along with you and like that. But do you ever you mentioned that the flowers only last for X number of hours. You'll be there still. Do you ever talk to them and counsel? I know it's not part of necessarily your purview, but do you ever counsel a bride and groom and say, look, you're going to spend X number of dollars for one day to start your wedding. You need to also plan for every year after the wedding. You know what I mean? I think I guess where I'm leading is, one of the best bits of counseling I got from the pastor who married us was, he said, you're going to spend X number of dollars this day. So you need to plan on spending that same amount of money each year just in the maintenance of your wedding, of your marriage. Do you ever get into that and talk to the bride and groom about, hey, this is great, we got this great wedding planned. Keep in mind that this is one day, and you need to. You become more of a wedding counselor in a sense, or a marriage counselor. Do you ever get into that? Have you ever had that experience?
Well, okay. I understand exactly what you're saying. But whenever a couple comes to us, the tunnel vision, we have one goal, which is the wedding, and we've got to make that day the best day.
Yeah.
Would definitely not get too much into that, because overwhelming.
Yeah.
Boom, we just blew their mind, and we can't stress them out and give them anxiety, because that is a discussion that would probably stress them out, and
they're already stressed.
They're already stressed.
Yeah, you don't want to give them too much.
We don't want to give them too much.
Yeah.
But it is something that towards the end, because it's not just the wedding ends and we're gone, we disappear.
Yeah.
But there's follow up. We're still working with the vendors. We still got to make sure they get their video and their pictures, and
Yeah.
get their certificate, their marriage certificate mailed
So your
off.
job doesn't end when they jump in the limo and drive away.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
And so, but a topic like that,
Mm-hmm.
is for me, we would give them a referral and say,
Yeah.
this is somebody, these are the next steps. And, these are the next phases. And we can kind of direct them and steer them and
Yeah. I
refer
knew
them
I was
out.
going on a limb with that question,
Yeah,
but I
I
thought
was
I'd
like,
throw it out
yeah,
How do you feel about that?
Um,
Ricardo's like, shut up, Doug. Let's go
Yeah.
to photos.
let's talk about the wedding,
next.
please.
let's see photos.
All right.
the
Well,
wedding.
I went out there. It was another rabbit trail of mine. I do that a lot. Let's pull up some photos. I'd love to see some of the work that you have if we can
Yeah,
do
go to your-
that.
go to your-
Are we? There we go. So,
Aw,
oh,
look at that. We just had a
A style
Photo-
photo shoot.
yes.
very nice.
Yes.
And
Ricardo's got the kind of little Napoleon thing going on
I
with his hand
do,
right there.
I
yeah.
So,
do.
And thank you, Julia Sharapova, that has
Yes.
provided us this beautiful picture. I love it.
Yes.
We look professional, don't we?
you do. Yeah.
We're professional, very professional. So let me see if I can go back to.
Oh.
That's a great image.
Hi.
I look
Hi.
wonderful there. So I'm in your weddings apparently. So,
There you go.
Oh, there we go.
So when I was talking about doing certain special elements of a wedding that people will experience, this is a couple's first dance as husband and wife, and it's called Dancing in the Clouds.
Mm.
And it is a beautiful effect for those that want to create just a dramatic effect to the first dance.
Yeah.
And everybody is around the dance floor taking pictures, and I mean, it's just a beautiful sight. So
Now, is that a dry ice effect or is it a mister?
it's like a mister.
Oh, okay.
And there's someone on the ground. You can't barely see. In the background, there's a guy looks like his head is popping out of the clouds in the very back, in front of the DJ
Oh,
booth.
yeah.
So he's there with a machine, and he's just like kind of like an air blower, and he's going left to right. And
It's
he's
his
creating-
official title?
Yes.
Air blower?
Air
Nice.
Cloud.
Dancing on the Clouds.
Cloud
So
blower.
those are special moments, like I said, that when guests walk away, I want them to remember some aspect of the wedding, and this is one of those moments that I feel is great to have at a reception. Not every couple does this, but it is a beautiful thing to do.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah. Let's see.
Now, are you involved? Will you get involved and help the bride find a dress? Is that part of a service? Like you'll go with her and be at the fittings, or if it's a groom, do you go and help them pick out a tux and make sure it's tailored properly, or is that part of the?
Sure.
Yes.
If it's not every bride that I've been there. I mean, some prefer to just have bridesmaids and
Yeah.
mother there. But there's been many times where I've been there to help, and I know it's one of Ricardo's
Oh my
favorite
gosh, it's one of my
things to
ultimate
do.
favorite things to do is to take my little Barbie shopping. Find
And
her the
who doesn't
perfect
want
dress.
Ricardo to be there?
Well, the thing
The
too-
problem is Ricardo's trying on the dresses. He's like,
Yes.
"Hey, does this work?" You know?
Yes.
They're like, Ricardo, it's not about you.
Yeah. I think it's important that the bride feels good because a lot of times, they do take their family with them and their moms and their bridesmaids, and sometimes they can get a little overwhelming.
Mm.
So if they have a perspective of someone else on the outside, they can give a constructive criticism on the dress.
Well, and objective.
Yes,
Because
objective.
I would imagine that the mom's going to say one thing, and the bridesmaids, they may be having some champagne. Oh, it looks great.
Yes.
Whereas you're more objective and can give a real,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is you don't want her staying up there on the pedestal with the dress on, and they start doing this. I would call it the evil sister syndrome, where Cinderella comes down in her dress, and then all the sisters are starting to take it apart and say, "Well, I like this, but I don't like this," and so you don't want also the bride to if she loves a dress, she's ultimately one that has to wear the dress. So
Yeah.
if she feels like $1,000,000, then that's the dress for her. And so sometimes if you have too many opinions, and then she starts to doubt herself and say, well, okay, well, maybe this isn't the dress. So then, so I want the experience of that to be an honest something the bride feels.
Because that's a huge decision. I mean, I think in the entire art of wedding planning, the dress, would you agree that maybe the dress is the biggest decision of all?
Well, like Rebecca said, I think it sets the tone for the
Yeah.
actual type of ceremony she's going to
Right.
be in and reception.
Right.
So
So I can imagine for a bride, there would be some, that might be the biggest stress point. So if you can get over that, then it's like, hey, we're kind of smooth sailing. There's going to be rough water, but maybe.
yeah,
Right. Right.
But because I have heard of many brides that'll like, they pick a dress and then somebody says one thing like, oh, and it can just be not negative, but just a little, and then all of a sudden they just start doubting
yeah.
themselves.
It's like they could say, oh, there's a thread or something hanging. It's like you keep pulling it and pulling it. Eventually, it just gets overwhelming. You're like, okay, take the thing off.
This,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
look at another photo. We got about 9 minutes.
Oh, 9.
It goes quick, doesn't it?
So this was a destination wedding that I did in Cabo, and the interesting thing about this photo is this was a timed photo. So meaning we had talked with the planning people there on staff at the resort, and I said, we need to have something to where when the couple cuts the cake and kisses, the second they kiss, the fireworks go off. So
Wow.
the guests are thinking, here again, guests are thinking, oh, the couple's going to just go cut their cake and done. Well, they cut the cake, kiss, and the seconds, like not even 2 seconds later, then the fireworks go off. So this was a timed element. Again,
That's pretty
detail.
elaborate because a
Yeah.
firework, when you touch it, I've worked in fireworks before, when you touch the firing mechanism, there's still a couple seconds where the shell goes up before it explodes.
Yeah. So you're talking about like
That's impressive.
You're talking about like me on a headset, and I'm watching the couple getting ready to kiss, and you've got the other people on the other line
Yeah.
ready to hit the button. So you're like, and go.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're like a
Yes.
Navy SEAL where you're
And
like, execute, execute, execute.
Yes,
Like that.
yes.
He really has a little.
I really do like J-Lo, or
Right.
Brittany
Right.
has a little
But
headset.
but he's telling the groom,
Yeah.
kiss her now.
Yeah,
Now.
kiss her now.
5 seconds. Countdown.
So
Not too-
now, does the groom have a little earpiece in, or are you just saying it?
No,
Oh,
just
okay.
saying that. And end the kiss now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are like things I was talking about, details of a wedding, like the unexpected elements that
No,
happen.
that's really impressive.
So it makes it great photography. It's special. You also have to make sure the photographer knows that this is about to happen too, because you want them ready to go with the camera.
Yeah.
So those are things, again, a planner like us will let our vendors know, our videographers, our photographers. So something's going to happen on a certain time at the wedding, we want to make sure that that's documented.
Yeah.
Whether it's a dance of some sort, like the father-daughter dance, and we're like, there's going to be something fun and crazy, be ready, things like that. We kind of have to alert our vendors.
And that's where, going back to in the beginning, where you have that timeline. So you as the planners, everybody's out having fun, but you're looking at your clipboard saying, okay, we got 15 minutes and the fireworks have to go off or the doves have to be. You always hear that joke about, and we're going to release doves right then,
Yeah.
Yes.
It'd be really a bummer. This is my twisted mind to release the doves and the fireworks at the same time. That could be.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard Bubba in Arkansas did that.
Right.
Yeah, it was bad.
That's where you have a planner to say that's
Yeah.
not a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Let's
problem
not
in
do that.
the problem in, okay, the problem in Arkansas was they released the doves, but it was dove season, and so all the family members that on the never mind.
No.
Never mind.
Yes. No.
I am like I'm on a roll now. So
I was going to see if Rebecca wanted to share one of her.
Over here. Let's see.
Oh,
do we have another photo?
Sure. So, we all have weddings that are. Oh, I'm used to working a mouse, having a
Yeah.
mouse.
So I'm imagining that you all have stories of
Oh, here we
a bridezilla or something that just positive stories and
Oh,
Oh.
sure. So, this particular ceremony was at the Majestic Theater
okay.
in Dallas, and we had ceremony at the Majestic, and then we had a little bit of a cocktail reception,
Mm-hmm.
in the theater of the Majestic. The ceremony was in the foyer, and the couple wanted to do the first dance on the stage
Oh,
of the
wow.
theater, and
Now, did
that
they have theater experience? Was it what was?
they did. They had theater experience, but they also the bride's family is in the AV industry
Oh,
or the
okay.
lighting industry, and
Yeah.
so it was really about a production and making sure that uh, all the timing and everything that we did, we had a live vocalist playing, and the music was incredibly beautiful. It was a very romantic moment. And then from that, we had a trolley ready for the guest and went around the corner to the venue reception.
Oh, wow.
And let me see if I can pull up some pictures of the reception, but it's one of my favorite. It's amazing what lighting can do. Um, so let me,
Wow, look at that.
right? Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah.
So it was a pretty big setup with the lighting, and so throughout the evening, we had lighting technicians on site, and so it was all a production along with, we had the live band, and then there were certain moments within the reception that, that they wanted to have a certain dance, certain songs played, and so there was a lighting show that
Now
coordinated with some of the songs.
I'm looking at the table, the centerpiece, that lamp.
Mhm.
Does that have like flowers floating in water or glycerin or something? Is that what that is?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Now, okay,
And
so
then,
on something like that, do you design that, or did a vendor say, "Hey, we've got this"? Like, how much do you get to put your creative fingerprint on it and say, like, do you have notebooks at home where you're coming up with ideas like, okay, I want to do this and this, or are you just kind of more relying on the vendors?
well,
I
no,
think it's a collab-
it is. It's a collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely have our perspective, and we have the relationship with the bride, and we work, and we're able. Like, I can see, what the design needs to look like,
Mm-hmm.
and so, relationship with the floral designer, and sitting down with them and communicating and translating what the bride envisions
Mm-hmm.
and what I envision, and then to give it to the artist that is the floral designer,
Yeah.
and to be able to hear what they have to say and how we're going to collaborate and
Yeah.
make it all work.
But I mean, you are artists. You're
Yeah,
you're project
we
managers, but you are
We
artists and
are, for
designers because
sure.
you can be,
Absolutely.
especially after the number of years of experience.
Hmm.
When a bride sits across from you and says, "I want XYZ in the floral," you're probably already designing it because you've worked with vendors long enough that you know, oh, okay, I can do this and the placement that. I mean, do you kind of like work that way? I mean, you are artists.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to pull this picture up real quick because I know
Okay.
we're short on time. But the concept of this wedding was this is an old train station called Union Station here in Dallas, and my same-sex couple, the theme was travel, and so when we talked to the floral and decor company, we said we want a concept of the old train lampshades that were in the old in the cars,
Oh,
the
wow.
dining cars. So we took the concept and they blew it up into the magnitude that you see. And so it's not only just the flower pieces that you're seeing, but these lampshades that now become the iconic decor of the venue, which is
Yeah.
everything about this couple was travel. So the theme was travel. So when you were saying about collaboration, we said this to the floral company, and we said, well, we can make this. And so they would show us in sketches and then say, what do you think of these two lampshades? And then blow it up from there. And then
Yeah.
that's how you get to the results.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, we
Now-
don't go into vendors and tell them what to do.
Oh, you
That
don't?
would no,
Yeah.
unless it's something very specific. But we
Right.
have to give them their artistic leeway,
Yeah.
and because they are the professionals at what they do,
And talking
we
about
trust in them.
budget, so this wasn't budgeted. So this was important to the grooms. Like they wanted this, and so what they had available as far as a decor company were not what you see. So they actually had to make these.
So these were custom. These were bespoke.
So when you're talking about budget,
Mm-hmm.
that was important to the couple. So they said, there is no budget. We want these lampshades.
Nice.
To where if they said, no, we better stay with what they have, keep it in budget, then we would have done. But this would not have been in budget.
Right. Yeah.
So it was up
It's an extra.
and you give that couple the power to say, this is what we want.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We want that.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
Well, this has been. I think we're getting close on time. So let's tell them what it's LorraineThomas.com, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. So LorraineThomas.com. That's where you can go to. Do you have a phone number you want to give out, or should they just go to the website?
Just go to the website.
Go to the website.
And we've got an online chat.
Okay.
And there's a form you can fill out and reach us that way.
Yeah.
You can. Our phone number is there as well if you want to, contact us. But yeah, find us on social media. We'll respond to you. And
Where are you on? So is it always Lorraine Thomas, like at Instagram, Facebook, those
Lorraine
type of
Thomas
things?
Weddings.
Lorraine Thomas Weddings.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have
But
a Facebook page too. Yeah.
But the website is just LorraineThomas.com.
.com.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And you do weddings of all sizes and consultations.
Yes.
And now for the event management, that's still Trifecta Event Management and Rebecca Hackl Events, right?
Well, remove Rebecca Hackl Events.
It's gone.
It's now Lorraine Tomas. And
Okay.
But no, Trifecta Event Management is still there.
So whether,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So whether
Visit
it's
us
a
there
corporate
too as
event
well.
or weddings, we're
Okay.
there. Yes.
Well, guys, thanks for coming in. This has been a great time. I hope you
Yeah.
enjoyed it. If not,
It went really fast.
it does. Yeah.
Yes.
So
It's
if you
like-
put another quarter in the slot, the little monkey over the hair stays, and we can actually do another hour. Isn't that right? No? Well, thank you very much. This has been An Artful Life with Doug King, and thanks for listening. We will talk to you next week. Bye.